When Israel said to Yahweh, Naaseh vanishma, we will do and we will hear, at the root of that vow before him was the concept of faithfulness. Hi, this is Barry Phillips with 10-Minute Torah, day number 3 of the Torah portion of Vayakal. Let's go to Shemot, or Exodus, chapter number 36. Verse 1 and following says, And Bezalel and Oholiab and every wise-hearted man in whom Yahweh has given wisdom and understanding to know how to do all the work for the service of the set-apart place shall do according to all that Yahweh has commanded. And Moshe called Bezalel and Oholiab and every wise-hearted man in whose heart Yahweh had given wisdom, everyone whose heart lifted him up, could come and do the work. They received from Moshe all the contribution which the children of Israel had brought for the work of the service of making the set-apart place, but they still brought to him voluntary offerings every morning. So all the craftsmen who were doing all the work of the set-apart place came, each from the work he was doing, and they spoke to Moshe, saying, The people bring much more than enough for the service of the work which Yahweh has commanded us to do. Then Moshe commanded, and they sent this word throughout the camp, saying, Let neither man nor woman do any more work for the contribution of the set-apart place. And the people were withheld from bringing, for what they had was enough for all the work to be done, more than enough. The next verse simply says, Then they set apart themselves to go ahead and get the work done. Years and years ago, a wise person gave me some pastoral counsel, some good counsel as a young pastor, that basically said to keep your congregation motivated and growing and functioning well and happy, you need to set projects before them. It's not that you work them hard or constantly, but on a regular basis, set some kind of a goal or a project before them that they can say, we can do this, and they go and get that job done. Then everyone can rejoice in the accomplishment, and the congregational body seems to be functioning, going, doing, behaving, becoming something. It's a good counsel. If it's nothing more than preparation for the upcoming feast days of the year. There are those that are already excited about preparing for Pesach. The venue has been secured. The decorations for the tables, the centerpieces, the food list, and so on, all of that has already been undertaken, and it's an activity that's ongoing. We have other things that are going on this year that we're already organizing and thinking about and planning for. And again, it's congregational life, and it's a good thing to keep in mind. It's an opportunity for folks to say, I'll do it, and then demonstrate their faithfulness to their vow. Many years ago, again, pastoring our first church, it was a rental situation. It wasn't a grand building. It was basically a cinder block building put together with a very steep roof, hidden away in a little wooded valley area of a very small town. And I thought, we need a building fund. We need to branch out from this. The first mention of the phrase building fund, quote unquote, drew frowns and scowls, and one person said, Don't talk to me about another building fund. Every time that I've contributed to it, that money got spent for something else. Somebody else had dug a hole and I had fallen in it, and it was up to me to fill up that hole and reimagine a way to start some funding to get out of that current situation. That was a hole I never really got out of. Because people make vows doesn't mean necessarily that the vows will come to fruition. Moshe had required of the people at Yah's command, bring the materials from everyone whose heart lifts him up to do so. And the people were so enthused at the opportunity to build this edifice for Yah, especially after they had been restored, reconciled, and forgiven over the gold calf sin, that their inspiration caused him to bring much more than was necessary to get the job done. But the gold, the silver, the materials, the wood didn't just sit in a big pile. There were artisans whose heart lifted them up. It was filled with wisdom. They set to making the various projects, weaving and gilding with gold and constructing. And it was an ongoing project that kept going until the job was done. It's hard to imagine a wilderness setting, less than ideal working quarters, having to make the molds, having to create perhaps the tools, not having enough time and space for something to get done in a day's time perhaps, coordinating work shifts, trying to figure out how to dye the appropriate threads, exactly the same colors. All of this was a challenge, but they rose up, they met the challenge, and they got the job done. The end result was Yah's glory filled this tent. Imagine that. But again, it came down to people saying, I will, and then following through with that. In the book of Deuteronomy, chapter number 23, verse 21 says, when you make a vow to Yahweh your Elohim, do not delay to pay it, for Yahweh your Elohim is certainly requiring it of you, and it shall be a sin in you. But when you abstain from vowing, it is not a sin from you. Verse 23, that which is gone from your lips you shall guard and do, for you voluntarily vowed to Yahweh your Elohim what you have promised with your mouth. When we volunteer, when we say, I will, count on me, it may be for a light thing. It may be, okay, I'll do, a certain little something next week, or I'll bring, or I'll give, or I'll share. Yah is requiring that of us. What comes out of our lips, he pays attention to. If we go over to the book of Ecclesiastes, chapter 5, verse 4 and 5 says, when you make a vow to Elohim, do not delay to pay it, for he takes no pleasure in fools. Pay that which you have vowed. It is better not to vow than to vow and not pay. So, we all have volunteered. We have all made pledges. We have all promised the Father, if you will do this, then I will do that. I dare say all of us have reneged on our vows and not fully followed through. There is forgiveness for that. There is the ability to repent for that. But if Yah brings to our remembrance, you promised, you said, then we need to follow through on that. There was a time that if a man shook hands on a deal, that was as good as any contract written down on paper and certified in a lawyer's office. I was raised by a father who would keep his word to his own hurt. If he borrowed a piece of money or a tool or whatever and said, I will bring it back at this time, even if it meant to his hurt, if it caused a problem, he knew that if my word is no good, then I can't be trusted. And so that was his character. I'm going to pay it back no matter what. His legacy and legend is that he was a man of integrity. When our name is mentioned in the throne room of heaven, let it be that we are those counted among the most trustworthy of servants, that when we say that we will do, that we do with all of our might as unto him. So remember and do, and we'll see you again tomorrow. Till then, shalom.